Welcome, everybody. I'm Harry Margolis. I'm partnered with Margolis, Bloom, and D'Agostino, and which I think you probably know. And I'm delighted today that Mark Gilfix is going to be joining us to talk about crypto and NFTs and estate planning. Mark is an elder law attorney in Palo Alto, California. He's talking to us today from San Francisco, freshly back from Tahiti. So he did some surfing there.
A little, mainly scuba and swimming on this one, but yes.
Oh, really? Okay. And but before becoming an elder law attorney, Mark was an actor and a business consultant, and he finally saw the light that elder law is really the way to go. And he's a prolific speaker and writer, and knows, being a lot younger than me and a lot of the people probably on this call. Knows a lot more about crypto and NFTs than we do, and has written about them for Trust and Estates magazine. And recently, I was part of a small group that Mark spoke to about these issues and how what crypto and NFTs are, and what challenges they present for estate planners, and questions about what do you include in a will? What does a will cover? What about powers of attorney? Can you put cryptocurrency or NFTs into a trust? Things like that. And so it's a great talk, and he's consented to speak to us. I'm delighted, Mark, that you're here. And I will turn the dais over to the virtual dais over to you, Mark. And if people have questions, they can type them in on the right, and when Mark's done with his presentation, we'll go through your questions, and hopefully we'll have some answers. It's all yours.
Great. Well, thank you, Harry, so much, and it's a privilege to get to connect with your fantastic community on the other side of the country. So hopefully everyone can see my slides here. But really, the focus of my talk today is, crypto and NFTs. What you need to know about, I'm going to go through how you purchase them and how you hold them, and estate planning implications, because as Harry mentioned, that's my field. I'm a estate planner, elder law attorney. I'm based in Silicon Valley, and here's kind of what I'll be talking about to you today. And there's a lot to get through, but I'll be going fairly quickly through parts of this. But of course, we can answer some questions at the end. And so I'm going to talk about just the basics of cryptocurrencies. If you're deep in this space already, some of this will be redundant or review, but I think it's always good to kind of hear this stuff over and over again. I'm going to talk about NFTs. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what they are and what they aren't. How do you invest in these categories? Again, if you're very familiar with the space, some of this will be review. If you're not that familiar, I think it'll be hopefully helpful to understand, because it's fairly confusing to invest in NFTs and own and hold NFTs. I'll go through some of the basics there. Frameworks for investing in this space, sorry for the little typo there, frameworks for investing in this space, and of course, estate planning and tax implications. And of course, so I think I will spend some time at the end, just how these are taxed when you trade NFTs or crypto, what you need to understand. Not an income tax expert, but I do know the basics on that side. And then the estate planning implications for all of this. That's where Harry's firm, and if you're in Massachusetts, in our firm, if you're in California, can help you. And this is all educational. It's not legal advice. This is just meant to inform you and educate you about these new kind of exciting areas. And I think it is relevant just to give you a little bit of background about me and why I sort of know what I'm talking about here. So I'm an estate planning attorney with Gilfix and Lopole Associates in Palo Alto. And as Harry mentioned, before I was an attorney, I was a management consultant, and I worked in the VC world a bit. I have a degree in management science and engineering from Stanford. I went to Loyola Law School. And on the crypto and NFT side, I've been a small-time investor in crypto since around 2017, when some friends from my undergraduate days got me interested in the space. Of course, I wish I invested more early on, even now that it's down in the last couple of months. And I've really learned from the best. I've been an investor, I call it gambler, in NFTs over the last 1.5 years, because truly NFTs, as I'll go through, it's more gambling than investing at this point, let's be clear. But I've been involved in that world for a 1.5 years, which makes me pretty ancient in the NFT world. And really the funny backstory is that it all started with a Stanford sports discussion group. So I have a group of buddies from my undergrad days. And we talk on a WhatsApp group about Stanford sports, but we also talk about investing, we talk about politics, we talk about all sorts of things. And a couple of the guys in that group of 12 of us are deep in the crypto space. They're top venture capitalists, they're CEOs of big tech companies. It just happens to be a good group of friends. And a year and a half ago, just to give you a quick background on how I got into NFTs, one of them who was already deep in the space said, hey guys, who wants to send me some Ethereum, which is one of the cryptocurrencies? Me and another friend are going to start investing in NFTs. Who wants in? Because we know the only way we're going to learn about this is by putting money in. So we each put not much money. It was just a little bit of Ethereum in. And these two guys went off and run and started trading NFTs. And so we all started following along because we had a little money in it. And long story short, it became this like obsession for all of us because we got in right as the market was just starting to take off. And again, we started off with very little money, but at one point we were up like 2,000% on paper, at least in the value of what we were doing, because they were trading so well and buying into the right pieces. We are since way down from that. And again, I wish even this group we had done more. But from that group, the two guys who started trading NFTs have since launched an NFT and crypto-oriented venture capital fund, and they raised $150 million from their experience in our little group. So I've been around some of the A-list just through, I think, good fortune, some of the most incredible and impressive people in the entire space. So I've really learned from them and from observing. And recently, as Harry alluded to, I wrote this article in Trust and Estates magazine, how to talk to clients about crypto and NFTs. So that I think a version of it is available for free. If you just Google Mark Gilfix crypto NFT, there's an article there. So I do a lot of thinking and writing about this. So now the blockchain is an area that you need to understand if you want to begin to, I think this is a good baseline to understand crypto. Still, it's an articles out there on, oh, hey, blockchain is basically a secure of transactions that anybody alleged computers running open. And in theory, it takes the place of banks and credit card companies, and it's a way to really decentralize proving that things happened on the internet. So the blockchain is the authority.
Mark, I don't know if you can hear me.
Entries are cryptographically sealed, so no one can mess with it. So basically, think of it as just a totally money to a account. Usually you'd have Visa doing that. In theory, on the blockchain, you don't need Visa. It's just your account goes directly to the seller's account, and you don't need the third-party intermediary. So it's all about decentralization. And each currency, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, the cryptocurrency market is a multi-$100 billion market. It was over the trillions a few months ago. I'm not sure exactly where it is now. Massive gains in the past 5 years, but extraordinarily volatile. We saw the recent the massive drop in the market the last few months, but it's still a massive market. It's growing, and it's, I think, over time, more likely than not to continue to grow. Who knows? But some of the top currencies are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, Cardano, Solana. There are literally thousands of different cryptocurrencies, but most are really just pure speculative vehicles. They don't really do much of anything. When you look at which currencies are actually active and things being built on them, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and there's a few others. I don't keep track of that list on a day-to-day basis, but it changes all the time. And of course, it's incredibly volatile. There are massive ups and downs in the market. In the last 6 months, obviously, Bitcoin is way down. You'd be down 37%, if not more. And if you take that back a little bit, you're down even more, down like 50%. But over the last 5 years, you're actually still way, 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 way up. If you'd started investing in 2016 or even 2019, you're up hundreds of percent. So I don't think you need to know that. You've seen all the headlines. Now, how really a quick background on how to invest in cryptocurrencies. So the simplest thing is to stick to the major exchanges. So Coinbase, FTX, Crypto.com, these are actually pretty simple. You set up an account, you link a bank account, and you can start buying and selling cryptocurrencies. It's really not too complicated. It gets complicated if you want to buy some of the more obscure cryptocurrencies. You can't use the major exchanges. There are a lot of other exchanges, but you want to stick with the big ones. Coinbase is probably the biggest and most stable just because they're publicly traded. Yes, their stock is way down, but they are still a multi-billion-dollar company with incredible resources, which means they are pretty reliable as an exchange when it comes to keeping your assets safe. So investing in cryptocurrencies, and this will relate to estate planning, is you want to have it in a very safe entity, in a place where it's easy to find and track. Now, you still have to be very careful with securing your accounts. So again, holding cryptocurrencies, holding Ethereum and Bitcoin or Solana or whatever, I would recommend using an exchange directly, FTX, Coinbase, Crypto.com. They offer their own custody, but meaning that they're actually they're holding your private key. So this gets into the technical side of cryptocurrencies, but when you hold your assets with these exchanges, one of the promises of cryptocurrencies in theory is that you can hold your private keys. You don't need any entity to hold things. If you're holding things with an exchange, they're the ones holding your private keys. So if they get hacked or if they go out of business, you could lose everything in theory. But again, that's why I'd say just stick with the big ones, FTX, Coinbase, Crypto.com. And within these entities, you can use enhanced security options. So I know Coinbase has Coinbase Vault. So you can hold your cryptocurrency just in a Coinbase account, but if you really want to keep it safe, you can add another layer of security. So Coinbase Vault is actually pretty simple. You just take a big chunk of whatever cryptocurrency you're holding. If you're like, I don't think I'm gonna have to trade this in the next few months, I just want to hold this, you put an extra layer of security, where if anybody hacks your account, they put a delay. So if you have assets in your normal Coinbase account and someone hacks your account, they can take it in a moment. If it's in a Coinbase Vault account, or if it has that added layer of security, they put, I think, a 48-hour waiting period where they try all different ways of contacting you to make sure, hey, do you really want to remove assets from the vault? So the downside is you can't trade it right away. The good thing is if you do get hacked, or if you lose your account information, someone else gets it, there's some security. FTX also has enhanced security options, limiting the transfer of crypto if a password's been changed or if there's been a weird login. For any exchange, and this should go really for any banking online, you should use two-factor authentication. So meaning you should have to log in using your password, and you should have an authenticator app on your phone, Google Authenticator on your phone, or at the very least, have them send a text code to your phone. But one of my friends deep in the crypto space, he's an expert, he almost lost all of his crypto when all he was using was the text notification, where you say, send a secure text to me, I'll enter the code in my phone, in my computer to log in. That's not that secure because people can spoof your phone. That's why I generally recommend downloading Google Authenticator and using that to link to your account, because Google Authenticator can't be, if someone tries to replicate your phone, which happens, they can't replicate Google Authenticator. They need like a separate set of codes there. Yes, it's sort of complicated. Bottom line is use best practice, always use two-factor authentication, use Google Authenticator or another authentication system on your phone if you can, just to add that layer of security. Again, here's just some images for Coinbase Vault and how things are withdrawn. So again, you can also add other people who have to approve withdrawals. So you can say, well, if I want to take out more than $10,000 in crypto, I need my sister Shauna to approve it via email as well. So if someone tries to hack me, she'll see the email and she'll also ping me to say, hey Mark, did you want to take out $20,000 in Bitcoin? And that's another layer of security. So you have to be very careful with security for all of this. And that leads us to another way of holding assets. If you really want to be safe, you would use cold storage. So everything I talked about, I guess you call it warm storage or storage online on the internet. If you really want to be safe, you can, well, it's safe in some ways, then you would use a ledger wallet. So you would go to cold storage and this means taking it off the internet. You take your cryptocurrencies and you literally download them to basically a USB stick. And I don't recommend this to anybody who's not expert at this, but I would say if you're really concerned and really into this space, you might use a Ledger wallet. But if you lose it, this little USB stick, you're out of luck. And to keep things secure, you have to have a seed phrase, meaning you have to have like 15 different random words. It's like a long version of a password that you're given when you get the Ledger wallet. If you lose that, you're also screwed. So this is what, in theory, a lot of very sophisticated people use, but there are a lot of horror stories about people losing their cold storage wallets or forgetting their seed phrases or passwords. But that is another way people hold things, where they literally just download their NFT and crypto keys off the internet, which is, again, secure but easy to lose. Now let's talk about non-fungible tokens. So I'm sure you've seen a lot in the news about this if you're interested in this talk, but let's just talk about kind of the absurdity of the space, but just why it's important to understand it. So these are images of what we call Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. Now, yes, there's been a massive crash in the value of NFTs in the last 3, 4, 5 months. But guess what the cheapest, after the crash, what the cheapest Bored Ape NFT would cost you if you wanted to own a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. There are 10,000 of them. Now, what do you think the cheapest one is today post-crash? It's $140,000 that I checked last night. It maybe is different this morning. As of July 20th, 2022, the cheapest Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, if you wanted to buy one in dollar terms, it was $140,000. And they only go up from there. So, I mean, you might be thinking, why would someone pay $140,000 for that image, to own that image? Well, and there's been a bunch of other big sales. So last year there was Beeple was the first artist who was known in the space. He sold his piece for $69 million. A LeBron James NBA NFT, Top Shot NFT, sold for over $380,000. Other pieces have sold for many millions of dollars. But yes, there's been a recent bust in the space. Here's just a chart that I was able to find on trading over the last year. So you can see way, 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 way down. But there's still a lot of money in the space, and we're in these boom and bust cycles. There's a boom, there's a bust, and there's probably going to be more booms coming up. Now, what is, okay, so back to NFTs. And so basically NFTs are kind of like I talked about the blockchain being a digitally proven link of records. These are just links of records to images or other assets, videos, or other different entities online. And when we say non-fungible, it means each is one of a kind. They are proven to be one of a kind, again, on the secure blockchain, and it's stored on different blockchains. So I know this gets a little confusing, but a lot of NFTs are on the Ethereum blockchain, but there are other blockchains being used to develop new NFTs and new uses. So I know I have some friends in the Solana world. That's another blockchain where a lot's being built. But the majority of NFTs, they are links to images or things on the Ethereum blockchain. That's the most common form of NFT right now. And think of it, though, I'll go to some frameworks for you to think about this. So let's compare NFTs to 3 existing collectible categories: original pieces of art, like the Mona Lisa, certified or numbered prints of an original piece, or like sports trading cards. And I have images of very valuable pieces here. So like the Mona Lisa, anybody can download an image of the Mona Lisa, as I did here, but the original Mona Lisa becomes more valuable because of that. So a lot of people joke, well, why don't I just right click and save one of these NFTs? Well, of course you can do that, but the difference is if you own the NFT, you are on the blockchain as the secured owner of the NFT. You own the rights to that, just like the Louvre Museum in France owns or has the Mona Lisa painting, and the fact that we all download images of it only makes it more valuable. They are also different types of NFTs. There are one of one, which I'd compare it to an original piece of art, and there are a lot where there's 500 of one piece, and so compare that to certified or numbered authenticated prints. You can also compare it to sports trading cards. So, with like the Mickey Mantle 1952 Topps trading card, if you have a mint condition one, it's worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, but you need to go to a third party to authenticate that card. One of the benefits of NFTs is you don't need a third party to authenticate the card or authenticate its condition. It's all authenticated on the blockchain. Now, why are these valuable? Well, when we look back to those categories, each category of art, of the pieces that I put in the last slide, whether it's a one-of-one original piece of art, an authenticated print, they all have value in the open market. Now, you could say, why would I pay a lot of money for a little piece of cardboard with Mickey Mantle's picture on it? It's a good argument, but a lot of people value a Mickey Mantle rookie card, kind of like NFTs. It's very subjective, and NFTs don't require any third-party authentication. Again, with art or with baseball cards or whatever, you need a third party to tell you what type of condition it is and to verify that it's real. One benefit of NFTs as it compares to art or these other categories is it's very liquid. You can sell it, buy it and sell it instantly. Whereas baseball cards or art or other collectibles, it's a pain to transfer them and to verify ownership and to verify that you're actually selling the right piece. So again, as I mentioned, why not right click and save an image rather than owning an NFT? Well, again, you can right click and save the Mona Lisa. So the more popular an image is online, the more valuable the original likely is. So you may have seen a lot of NBA players in the last year using Bored Ape Yacht Club images as their Twitter profile pictures. Steph Curry did it for a while. I know he's not very popular in the Boston area, but he and I'm sure there are probably some Boston athletes too who have used NFTs as their profile images because they own them and they want to popularize the images. So it's all speculative, but think of the valuation of NFTs, at least the image-based ones, as sort of based on the same idea as why do we value different pieces of art. And of course, art has stood the test of time. NFTs are brand new. So it's very speculative, but I'm trying to express why it's worth, because I got that question a lot. That's why are these worth anything? Now, there are a bunch of new categories of NFTs that actually do provide more than just an image of an ape. A friend of mine helped to launch Lynx DAO. This is a different category. DAO stands for Distributed Autonomous Organization, but think of it as based on the NFT world. So if you buy a Lynx DAO token, you're actually buying a membership into a new online-based golf club, and they raised over $10 million. They're raising another round, and they're actually going to buy a golf course and create an international golf membership-based organization around NFTs. So here's where you would buy an NFT, you'd actually get membership to a club. Another friend of mine launched something called After Party, where you buy the After Party token and you get access to music festivals and shows and art. So there are new applications coming out and real world uses of NFTs that go well beyond these examples. So it's not just images of apes and things like that. This world is exploding. So the market value is exploding. It's dropped certainly this year, but different analysts see it going to 40 billion, 80 billion, $100 billion, who knows? But as new use cases emerge for NFTs, I think we're going to see more and more categories that will be available to invest in. Now, how do you invest in NFTs? I'm going to spend just a minute on this, and we'll get to the estate planning side of this. It is at a high level quite challenging, even now. You need to have a crypto account, and you need to set up what we call a MetaMask online wallet. So it's as simple as a browser extension. So like you have Chrome, you can download the MetaMask extension or the MetaMask app on your phone. But this is really just a way to take crypto from your online account and to use it to buy and sell NFTs in one of the trading sites. So think of it as like, how do I take money from my Bank of America account to use it to buy things on Amazon? Well, online, we typically use credit cards. In the NFT world, this is where MetaMask would kind of come in. But I don't recommend this for newbies. If you're not very comfortable in the space, I generally don't think it's a good idea because it is still rather confusing and not so secure, but it's going to get easier and easier over time. Now, in 3 steps, you would have a Coinbase account or FTX or Kraken account. You download the MetaMask app, the wallet. You have to be very careful about securing it and saving all your passwords. You would then, following the steps within the app, transfer crypto from your Coinbase account to the MetaMask wallet. So you want to buy something and you have a budget of 5 Ethereum, you want to use up to 5 Ethereum to buy stuff, you would send 5 Ethereum from your Coinbase account to your MetaMask wallet. You go into Coinbase, so you download the MetaMask, they give you an address. You go to Coinbase, you say, I want to send Ethereum to this address. You paste in the address for your wallet, you send it, then all of a sudden you get a notification, MetaMask has received, your MetaMask wallet has received the Ethereum. You then log into OpenSea or one of the other NFT trading sites on the internet, think of those as eBay or Amazon or a shopping site, and you connect your MetaMask wallet with your OpenSea account, and all of a sudden you can buy and sell NFTs. You can buy using your Ethereum in your MetaMask wallet. So you buy one of those monkey images, all of a sudden a monkey image is now stored in your MetaMask wallet, where the NFT token is. So it is rather convoluted. I wish it was a lot more seamless. And this is just illustrative. There are other ways of doing it. MetaMask is not the only online wallet. That's just the one that I've used and my friends have used. OpenSea.io is the largest NFT marketplace, but many others exist. So this is all just illustrative. And there are NFTs you can buy and sell just using a credit card, to be clear. It doesn't have to be quite this complicated. So Nifty Gateway, that's another NFT trading site. NBA Top Shot, you can use a credit card on those to buy and sell NFTs. But when you really get deep into the world, it usually involves buying and selling with Ethereum or Bitcoin, and it does require these extra spaces. Now, security for NFTs. I mentioned hot versus cold wallet. I mentioned that little USB stick that's off the internet. Hot storage is a MetaMask wallet or Coinbase account. It's a big concern still. You have to be very careful to secure your passwords, to secure your seed phrases, keep those really safe. I'll circle back to that when we talk about estate planning, and use the extra security options. If you have an account at Coinbase or FTX or whatever you're using, always use the enhanced security option for the majority of your shares, or the majority of your crypto holdings. Make it as hard as it can be for a bad actor to steal your crypto. And again, you can use online or offline options, but whatever you do, save passwords and seed phrases in a very safe place, ideally like a safe deposit box. So yes, this is not easy, but when you dive into a little bit, and if you dabble in it, I would say don't spend much money on this, but start playing with it, because the more you play with it, if you're using smaller amounts of money, you can start to learn it as you go. But it is rather confusing. There are a lot of resources online where you can learn more about how to trade. And of course, it's incredibly risky. This is a tweet from one of the key NFT guys, Gary Vaynerchuk. He wrote this in August of last year when the market was flying, and he very aptly stated that 98% of NFT projects that came out last year will end up being bad investments for many that bought them. And I think that's the case. It's proven out that I'd say 2 to 5% of NFT projects or NFT investments have ended up being really good. 95% plus end up being really bad. So when you think about investing in this space, how should you think about this and holding this and framing this? So I would think of it as kind of 3 categories within the cryptocurrency and NFT space. You have the blue chip cryptocurrencies, which are really, I would say, Ethereum and Bitcoin. Even those are not like blue chip stocks. They're incredibly volatile. I would think of them as smaller emerging tech stocks. Maybe early stage Tesla or early stage Google. That's the dream, that it goes up that much, but they could also crash. So even the big name cryptocurrencies are very risky. When you get to the next level, the more obscure cryptocurrencies, that's basically just kind of venture capital investing or gambling. Like you're hoping that 1 in 20 of them pays off big to pay up for the fact that 19 of them are going to lose. NFTs, same thing. They are incredibly speculative. I would never recommend using more than you can afford to lose to invest in NFTs. I think over time, some will emerge as more stable blue chip type of investments. But right now, this whole category is very, very volatile. But again, Ethereum, Bitcoin, I think those 2 stand out as the blue chip cryptocurrencies. If you're gonna dip your toe or if you're gonna hold some, I think those are the 2 that you'd wanna touch. There are going to be some ways to own cryptocurrency through mutual funds or exchange traded funds. Right now, that's actually pretty hard, but that's another way will be to invest through third parties on the stock market. There are going to be more funds that will allow you to do it that way. But if you want to own it yourself, you have to follow the steps I outlined before, and they are very risky. But to be clear, the winners have delivered incredible returns, and that 10 to 100 times returns to hopefully make up for the fact that 90% plus have gone way, 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 way down. When we think about taxes really quickly, I'm not an income tax expert, but at a very high level, you do have to be careful about this. Anytime you trade a cryptocurrency or an NFT, basically my understanding of the regulations is the IRS just wants you to trace it all back to dollars. So even if you think you traded, you bought Ethereum and then use the Ethereum to buy an NFT and then you sell the NFT and get Ethereum back, every time you do that, even when you're buying an NFT with Ethereum or with a cryptocurrency, you might think, well, I'm just buying something. Like if I buy a stock, that's not a taxable event. In this space, it is, because the IRS considers any time you trade a cryptocurrency for another cryptocurrency or for an NFT token to be a taxable transaction. So let's say you bought an NFT for one Ethereum, and at the time Ethereum is worth $2,000. So the cost basis when you bought that NFT was $2,000. Let's say later you sell that NFT for one Ethereum. But at the same, so you're like, well, I didn't gain any Ethereum, but let's say the value of Ethereum at the time you sell it is $3,000. Well, even though you haven't converted back to dollars, the IRS would say, well, you traded when Ethereum was 2,000. When you sold it back, you didn't gain an Ethereum, but Ethereum was up in value to $3,000. So the IRS says because the dollar value of that trade changed, you owe us taxes on that $1,000 taxable gain because Ethereum went up from $2,000 to $3,000. And where that really trips people up is if they bought Ethereum for $500 per Ethereum token, and all they're doing is buying an NFT for, say, using that one Ethereum token to buy an NFT. They bought something with it. But let's say Ethereum has gone up in value from the time they bought the Ethereum token to when they bought the NFT. That's a taxable transaction. Because if it goes from 500, let's say it's worth 1,000 when they buy something with it, the IRS says, well, that was a taxable transaction. Even though you bought something with it, that's a taxable gain because you bought it at 500, you technically sold it at 1,000, even if you didn't really convert it back to dollars. So bottom line is every transaction you have to keep track of. There are software tools that allow you to do that, but every transaction is taxable. So be careful there. A lot of people are getting in trouble with that this year as they file taxes. Now, estate planning, because that's where Harry and I can help you. Now, whenever possible, title your crypto account in a trust. So I mentioned you can set up an account at Coinbase or FTX or crypto.com. If you can, put that account in the name of your living trust. That being said, it's a challenge to do it. I tried to do the process with Coinbase and I had a lot of trouble myself. I'm an estate planning attorney and I had to walk through a bunch of steps and they are not very helpful. Right now, it is a big challenge to actually title your account at one of these exchanges in the name of your living trust. They're going to get better at it over time. It's just not a priority for them in the near term. I have a friend who was on the board of directors of Coinbase and I asked him about it and I was complaining to him about it. And he said, yeah, they're just dealing with a bunch of other problems right now and they will get to it, but they are not very good at it right now. There are new options emerging for irrevocable trust and LLC entities to hold these accounts, but the bottom line is do your very best to try to title your account in the name of your living trust. But if you can't do it, at the very least, list your accounts on your trust schedule A, keep good records of it, show an intent to have an account in your living trust. Or in any estate planning documents that you have, and keep really good records. The key here is make sure that your loved ones or your trustees or your backups know that you have these accounts, one, and two, know how to access them if they need to. They're gonna need access to those seed phrases, those passwords. So you gotta keep them in a safe place and let your key decision makers know that, hey, if I'm out of it, I have accounts at these different entities and the passwords and the seed phrase are in this locked box or in this place. NFTs, by the way, I am not aware of any way to title NFTs in a trust because right now, the only way I'm aware of holding NFTs, and this is going to change. I know that Coinbase and a few other online entities are going to offer online accounts to hold these, but right now, my friends who are holding millions of dollars in NFTs are holding them on little Ledger USB sticks. Now they're keeping them in secure places, but there aren't easy ways to title NFTs in a trust. So again, I would keep good lists of them, good records. Make sure that your backup trustees and your family knows that you have these, because if something happens to you and you have your NFTs in a MetaMask wallet on your browser, unless your loved ones know about this and they know how to access it, it could vanish. there is no third party that's going to help you. You know, at least with bank accounts, if something happens to someone, eventually you're going to probably be able to get records. Your families are going to, your family, your backup trustees probably going to find out. That's not the case with NFTs. No, there's no third party looking out to say, hey, nobody's traded NFTs from this wallet for 10 years. We should ping them. That doesn't exist. So you have to keep really, really good records. There are some entities, I'm aware of some entities in Wyoming, there are LLCs that are being set up there that can hold NFTs. That gets really sophisticated and complicated. But right now, keep records. If you want to trade in the space, keep really good lists, really good records, so your loved ones, your trustees can do that. So from the estate planning side of things, wherever possible, we want to include language in your living trust, your power of attorney, your will, to address ownership and management of these new digital assets. And I know a lot of states, California has statutory language around digital assets and digital access to accounts. I'm not sure of Massachusetts law, Harry, maybe you can weigh in there on any Massachusetts options there, but try to make sure your documents include whatever language you can to grant your loved ones access to online accounts. And that can be really helpful. Even if an account at, say, Coinbase is not titled in your living trust, these documents could still potentially help your loved ones get access to these accounts if they need to. Let your backup decision makers know, communicate with your backup trustees and potentially your heirs about these holdings so they know, one, that you have these accounts, and two, how to access them. And you have to keep passwords and seed phrases and access information really safe, which is hard. So I would think of that as something you would keep in a safe deposit box or in just a place where only your loved ones know how to find it. As much as you'd want to store it online, that would expose it to the same risks that I talked about before of getting hacked or getting or having things taken by bad actors. So it's a crazy new world. New options are emerging, but from an estate planning standpoint, keep good records, title accounts in your trust or your entities if you can. Keep good records on your trust schedule A. List these. If you have them, just list them. Even if it doesn't necessarily technically solve the issue, at least it'll give your loved ones information, and keep good lists and good records. So I appreciate the opportunity to chat here very much. I'm so sorry for the technical issues. I know we had some. Hopefully you're able to hear most of this. Contact Margolis, the Margolis Bloom team, if you have questions about this. And if you're in California, if you happen to see us, contact us at gilfix.com. But thank you so much for letting me share this presentation with you. And again, I apologize for the technical issues. Happy to take some questions now. So Harry, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark. This was great, a great introduction, and probably going about as deep as anyone can go at this point in this world. And I have a few questions, and we have one question so far on this Q&A on the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar. And if anyone has any other questions, they can post them there. But I take it you talk about taxes, and I take it you can't use Bitcoin or Ethereum to pay your taxes. But I think is Ecuador one country now adopting Bitcoin as their currency?
I think it was El Salvador is doing a lot with that. Yeah, okay. And there's a couple other countries doing it, and it's dicey though, because it's come down in value so much that a government that goes all in, and I know the city of Miami has been all in on welcoming the crypto world and was trying to do their own city-based tokens. I think a lot of countries are trying to attract the crypto economy, but I don't think you can use crypto to pay your taxes. You certainly could, in the sense you could cash it in and pay, but hey, that's a taxable transaction. If you cash in 50,000 worth of Bitcoin to pay your $50,000 tax bill, well, you might get double hit, because when you cash in the Bitcoin, you may have a capital gain that you have to recognize in order to pay the tax anyway. So no easy way to use crypto to pay taxes.
Unless at some point they'll accept the Bitcoin as the currency that you can pay with.
Right. That could happen at one point.
Yeah, probably not here, since we're a dollar-based country, so we don't accept euros or anything else for paying taxes. But I guess the other thing is I've heard of Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as being useful for people who are in, I guess, less stable countries or needing to transfer money overseas. Is a case to be made for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for those of us in the US, I don't think we've needed it as much, but if you look at what's happened in the Ukraine and unstable parts of the world, absolutely, if you really understand this, it is one of the promises of cryptocurrency was to get around government controls. The ironic thing is, if you're using one of the major exchanges, or unless you're really, really expert at this, it's actually very easy for governments to track what you're doing. The joke is, I've heard from even IRS officials saying, like, we thank people for trying to use cryptocurrencies to avoid taxes if they're using the major exchanges, because it's actually very easy to track. But if you are very sophisticated, it is a way to take value out of countries that are falling apart or where there's authoritarian regimes. That's one of the promises of cryptocurrencies. Now, how much it's actually used for that, I don't know, but it certainly is one of the use cases for it.
So it's possible. And I guess I would assume at some point that there'll be some way for the accounts to move over to abandoned property. I know the Secretary of State in Massachusetts is always sending around lists and posting lists of abandoned property in bank and other accounts. I guess maybe at some point they'll have access to crypto accounts as well. What do you think?
Only if it's at an exchange. So again, that's where the challenge of NFT accounts or holding things in cold storage, off the internet. If that's the case, there's no entity that's going to find it. If you have an account at one of the major exchanges, I do believe at some point some authority would find those and would contact a family. If Mark Gilfix sets up an account at Coinbase and Coinbase doesn't hear from me for 50 years, I do believe that kind of like the abandoned accounts that you're talking about, I do believe there'd be some way that family would eventually be contacted. And I think some of the major exchanges are getting closer to traditional banks in the sense that there will be more ways to store assets in your, to title assets in your trust and other ways where there will be immediate access. But don't rely on the Secretary of State to find your old accounts. So that's why I say, and I think any expert who pays attention to this space would say, keep good records. Make sure that your loved ones know about these accounts and give them whatever authority you can in your power of attorney document and other documents. So if they need to contact these entities, they can do so and show some authority to get access to the accounts.
But and I don't really understand exactly how you set up these accounts, but do they have to know that it's Mark Gilfix or Harry Margolis, or can you do it anonymously?
Yeah, so the major exchange accounts, like again, FTX, Coinbase, they would know that it's Harry Margolis or Mark Gilfix. We'd have to give them our taxpayer ID information. We have to link our bank accounts. So those are less problematic. It's really when you get to the more obscure, if you're trading on one of the smaller platforms to trade in more obscure NFTs and cryptocurrencies, it's more of a problem. And again, for owning NFTs, that's the big problem, because they're, again, a MetaMask wallet, the wallet that I talked about, there is no central MetaMask entity where you're setting up an account. It's literally, you just set up the wallet, it automatically generates a seed phrase or password phrase, and that's how you access it. You can't contact MetaMask support and say, hey, I'm Mark Gilfix, I set up a wallet. They'll say, I don't know who you are. We are literally just creating and I'm not an expert on how software is created, but we're just creating the platform. We have no connection to you. I'm not paying MetaMask. So that's where there is no third party that's going to help you find it if it's abandoned or lost.
And they create the seed phrase, so you can't create one that you're more likely to remember.
Yeah, I think there are ways to change that, but bottom line is right now, yeah, you got to write it down. You got to keep it very safe. It's one way or another.
So in one question that was posted on the site by Felicia Vidito is, what about the damage that blockchain tech is doing to the environment?
Yeah, that's a very valid concern. That the way that this is all powered is by a bunch of computers that are powering these transactions and powering the blockchain, and in exchange for powering it, they get rewards of Bitcoin or other tokens. And the big criticism is that they're using an immense amount of power, and that's a very valid criticism. And I'm not an expert on that side of it, but yeah, it's a problem, and I'm hopeful that some of the new blockchains, Bitcoin is the old one, but I mentioned, Solana is a new one, and a lot of the new blockchains are much more efficient and much more environmentally friendly. That also goes to just how do we generate power? If you're in a state or a country where all the power is being generated by solar, well, who cares if you're using a lot of power for the network? But if you're in China and it's all generated by coal power or parts of America, then it's a problem. So it's a very valid complaint. I know that the crypto industry is working to move away from that, but yeah, very valid complaint and concern.
All the more reason for a carbon tax.
Yeah, hey, whatever we can do to save. I know it's incredibly hot right now in so much of the country, and Europe's burning up. Yeah, whatever we can do to fight that, we need to do.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Mark. This is terrific. This is being recorded, or we will post it and spread the word so that others can hear it as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Harry. And again, I apologize for the little tech issues, but I hope everybody got a lot out of this. But feel free to connect with me on Facebook, or if you're in California, contact us. But Harry and his team are amazing. So it's a privilege to get to talk to you, Harry, and to present to your community as well. So thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you all soon.
Thank you, Mark. Be well.